welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be my next installment in my top 5 series, if you will. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 neutral eyeshadow palettes. If you want to see a video at some point on my top 5 like bright, fun, colorful palettes, give this video a thumbs up so I know, or if there's any other top 5 videos you want to see, you can definitely leave them in the comments down below. All but one of these palettes are permanent, but they are all currently available, so I will have them all linked down below where you can find them, and make sure to stay tuned to the end of the video because I am going to do some good like close-up swatches of all of the palettes that I mention. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. The first palette I want to talk about is of course my Tarte Tartelette palette. If you've been watching me for any length of time, you know how obsessed I am with this palette. If you have never seen it, it is a collection of 12 different matte, more neutral eyeshadows. They do have kind of like a plummy, rosy kind of undertone to some of them. I reach for this palette every single day that I wear eyeshadow, and I'm not even joking. I use this shade, which is called Force of Nature, as my transition, and then this shade, which is called Supermom, as my brow bone highlight. These are my favorite matte shadows, hands down. They are so foolproof and so easy to blend. Like, they're so insanely easy to work with. Even if you feel like you've like added too much product or you've messed up a little bit, they're so easy to blend out and correct that, and they just give you that perfect kind of diffused blended crease. That's primarily what I use them for. And with this palette, I feel like you do get a very good range of tones for neutrals. Like, this top row here is more neutral, slightly leaning warm. This one is more rosy and plum, and then this one at the bottom is more cool tone and taupe. So you get pretty much everything you would need for like blending and like crease shades that will complement any different kind of look. I just feel like my look isn't complete when I don't use this. They're not chalky at all. They're not dry, but they're also not too powdery where you get like a ton of powder kicking up when you dip your brush into them. They're just the perfect balance for a matte eyeshadow. This is a palette that I recommend to anyone. I say, like, even if you're like just getting into makeup and you don't own a ton of high-end stuff, this is one of the things you should definitely splurge on because it will up your eyeshadow game for sure. I did a tutorial last summer on like a really basic, beginner-friendly, just like blended matte eye, so I'll have that linked down below. I use this palette in that tutorial. It's just an absolute staple and a necessity in my collection. Some of Tarte's eyeshadows, I'm not gonna lie, they're not as good as this palette, so if you've tried other ones in the past and haven't liked them, don't be afraid to try this one because it's definitely a very high step up in quality from their eyeshadows that they had released prior to this. So my next palette is my only limited edition pick, but it is still available, I believe, on Too Faced website and then also HSN, I think. I'll have a link down below wherever I can find it. But this is the Too Faced Peanut Butter and Jelly palette. Now you might be like, this palette has not been out long enough for me to really like consider it a favorite, but you guys, I really do. This was like love at first sight when I first saw this palette. I just knew it was going to be perfect because this color palette is exactly what I want and exactly what complements my skin tone and my hair color and my eye color and everything like that. It is mostly a neutral palette. It's a lot of really warm brown neutrals, and then you also do get a couple more purpley shades as well, but I still consider it a neutral palette. It smells like peanut butter, first of all, which is really nice. It doesn't actually contain peanuts or nuts at all though, so if you have a nut allergy, you're okay for this. I love this palette because it really does have everything you need in it, and that's not something you can say about a lot of palettes. I will still reach for my Tartelette for that Force of Nature shade sometimes, but I don't have to with this palette. I've gone without it and it's totally fine. You get this peanut butter shade here, which you can use as a transition shade. Nuts About You, which you can use to darken your crease. You get the extra creamy shade here as well, which you can use as like a brow bone highlight or inner corner highlight. And then all of the other shades do have some shimmer or glitter in them, so I use them as more for the focal point of the look. But with those transition and crease and highlight shades, I get everything I need. Like, this is a palette where I can really get my entire look just from these shadows. And Too Faced is just very well known for having incredible quality eyeshadows, and honestly I feel like some of these even go above and beyond some of Too Faced regular shadows too. They're pigmented, they're easy to work with, they're beautiful. I honestly could not ask for a better color selection for myself personally, so much so that I actually ordered this from the Too Faced website. I paid like twice the amount of the actual retail price for it, which is true love if you are a Canadian beauty lover, believe me. Once again, I will have swatches towards the end of this video so you can see just how pigmented these shadows are. But my third palette is the original Urban Decay Naked palette. I actually didn't end up picking this up until the very end of 2014. I finally caved and bought it, and I was like, okay, there's a reason this palette like was out of stock and like so crazy, so hyped up when it first came out. And it's just because it's a really good, solid, neutral palette. I like how you get a range of tones and different shades. Once again, you get a few more matte and kind of satiny blending kind of shades, which are just crucial to me. And then you get kind of the whole range. You can do anything from like a really light, shimmery eye all the way to like a deeper, smoky eye. It's just a really beautiful selection. I used this a lot this past fall and winter. It was my go-to palette for months and months. There's not much more to say about it other than the fact that it's just a really good, solid, good quality neutral palette, and I definitely think it's another staple that everyone needs to have. I do also love Naked 3. I'm not including that in this video because I think the original Naked has actually become my favorite, even above that one, but I do really like that as well. I have Naked 2, but I'm not a huge fan of it. It's just a little bit too cool tone and silvery for me personally. Eyeshadow palette number 4 is a palette that I need to show some more love because I haven't been using it that much lately, but it is the original LORAC Unzipped palette. For me personally, you guys know I wear a lot of rose gold eyeshadows. I just find them so complimentary on my skin and eye color and everything. Once again, there's something about like a really like yellow true gold that just doesn't look good on me. I also don't like silver, so rose gold is like the perfect balance. So if you have a similar complexion to me, you should definitely try rose gold shadows. I think you'll really like them. And this palette just has a very overall rose gold vibe to it. It's just beautiful and so flattering. I think out of all of these, this is the palette that I get the most compliments on it when I wear it, no matter what combination I'm wearing or what kind of look I'm doing. Someone always compliments me when I'm wearing this. And if you've never tried LORAC eyeshadows, they are impeccable. They're so smooth and so creamy feeling, and once again, just easy to work with. That's a theme you're gonna see in all of these palettes. They're all very easy to work with and blend, because let's face it, nobody has time for eyeshadows that don't blend well. And with the kind of hints of rose gold, it's a little bit different than your average neutral palette. Like, I think this is definitely a palette that even if you have tons of other neutrals, it's okay to justify this because it does have a certain unique kind of quality to it that you're not going to see in every other palette you own. And once again, in this palette, you do get a nice range of mattes and shimmers and more metallic kind of finishes, so you can do a complete look as well. So last but certainly not least, I have the Makeup Forever Palette 9 Artist Shadow. I don't know the exact name for this, and it is just their more neutral permanent shadow palette. First of all, the packaging of this is really nice. It's like very substantial and has a really good amount of weight to it. But if you have not tried these shadows, you are seriously missing out. They are some of my favorites just in general. I need more of them. I don't really, but you know what I mean. They are a gel powder consistency, so when you touch them, they feel like a cream, like they almost feel wet. Your fingers just glide over them, especially for this one. The one downside to this palette is there is no matte shadows in this one. So this is like my palette that I reach for when I want like a really intense, beautiful lid color. It has all the shadows on the back, and yeah, there's no mattes. There's the iridescent, the metallic, the satin, and the diamond finish, which is basically all of the other finishes that they have in this eyeshadow range. But anyways, like I was saying, they are just the most amazing feeling eyeshadows. They're so amazing to the touch. If you have like a Sephora near you and you haven't felt these, just go and like swatch them and see how they feel. With some of them, they do have kind of like a harder layer at first that you kind of have to break through to get to the true pigment, but once you do, these are just insanely pigmented. Like, I just kind of dip my finger in there and like the pigment is so nice on these. And once again, you will see the full swatches at the end of the video. And while this palette is predominantly cool tone, I would say it's not too cool tone because I'm just not a fan of like super taupey shades on me. They just don't look super flattering. It's still like, it's still got like hints of warmth and stuff, and it's not too cool tone to the point where I feel like it's unflattering on me. A really beautiful row of shimmery, lighter kind of highlight shades. This one's really, really nice on the inner corner for like a really nice pop of brightness. You do get a black. The black is like a, what kind of finish is this? A black in there as well, but like I said, it's not matte. And then you get like a warmer brown, some more taupey shades. It's just a really nice mixture. Once again, the only thing I don't love about this is the fact that there is no matte finishes in here, but it's not a huge deal to me. I still really enjoy this palette. But yeah, that wraps up all of my top 5 favorite neutral eyeshadow palettes. Also, if there's a palette that I didn't mention in here, it doesn't mean I don't like it. These are just like my top 5 narrowed down, obviously. So now that we've talked all about the palettes, let's go ahead and jump into the swatches. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to leave me any comments down below if there's another top 5 videos you want to see. Of course, don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate it, and check me out on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. I'm at SARI on all 3, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye guys! The thing that I found that I actually really enjoy applying it with is more of like a rounded top kabuki, which is kind of similar, but I don't know, there's something about the kind of rounded edges that just works